Hi, good morning, everyone. So now we'll start the activity session for week two. Today, Piyush will be starting the presentation and you can ask him questions on the activity questions for week. Piyush, shall we
Yeah.
start?
Yes, ma'am, sure. So, hello everyone. I hope you all are safe now. Okay. So today we are going to discuss the activity question for week two. Okay. So before that, I want to ask one question. So have you all installed PostgreSQL and start running SQL queries on that? You can raise your hands. Okay. Only three. What about others? Okay, no issue. So for a practice assignment question, you need to install PostgreSQL because without that you can't solve those questions. Okay. Okay, fine. So first we will do some activity, means we will go to mentimeter.com. We'll do some practice question there. It's similar to activity questions only. Then we will take your questions. Okay. So I will share my screen now. Yeah. Okay. Is it visible? Is my screen is visible? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, Piyush. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to go to menti.com and use this code 81918592. Okay. We will also share the link in the chat. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Thank you, Kumar. Okay, so no one has answered it. You can start answering the question now. Okay, so I got first answer. If you have gone through those activity question, this will be a pretty straightforward question. Okay, so I have four. Kitchen participant are there. Okay, we'll wait for 1 more minute. Okay, we have 6 answers now. I think we can discuss it now. Okay, so 4 people have answered D option, 1 for option A and 1 for option B. Okay, so those who have option answer A, can you please tell me why you have marked this option A? You can unmute yourself and tell me. Hello?
Uh, Hi, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I did like that A equal to B or C is there.
A equal to
So
B or C is greater
C
than 2.
greater
Yeah.
than. So first I made that A, B, 1 second, I'm not able to see. Okay, so B or C greater than 2. So there is all the option, the first, third, and the uh, first, second, and fourth option is valid.
First,
No,
second,
no,
and
no.
fourth.
All the option is valid. And
Okay.
I'm making A equal to, I think I did mistake something. A equal to, I made A equal to B. So, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I think I did mistake.
Okay, fine. So those who answer option B, can you please tell me? No. Okay, so those who answered option D, can you please tell me why you mark this option D?
So because it's an OR operation, so either it should be greater than 2 or should be equal to B. So that's why all conditions hold true, so we get the whole table.
Okay, good. So in the activity question, we have similar question. Just here negation symbol is there, right? In that case, what will be the option? Correct option?
Option C, sir.
Option C. Okay. So how did you get that?
Because no condition will satisfy if there will be negation sign.
Okay.
So there will be no condition like that A equals to B or C greater than 2. So
Okay.
we get null set.
Okay. That's fine. But we can do by using De Morgan's theorem also. Do you know about De Morgan's theorem? Anyone of you know? So this is negation. Okay. What is the equivalent of this? So negation of A equal to B or C greater than 2 is A is not equal to B. Here or it will become and C less than or equal to 2. Okay. Now can you solve this? A not equal to B and C greater than 2. What you will get? Yes, anyone?
Null set?
Hello? Did you understand what I have done here?
No, sir, can you explain?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, somebody told null set, right? Somebody told null set?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so here A is not equal to B and C is less than or greater, less than or equal to 2. Okay, so we'll get the option C, right?
So Piyush, somebody was asking how you got it given the De Morgan's formula, right? Somebody was asking if you can explain it again.
See, basically the negation implies that if the negation of and is or, okay. So suppose let us take one example here. Piyush is taller than Ramesh. Okay. So what is the negation of this statement? Can anyone tell me? I think this thing is covered in 11th and 12th mathematics.
Piyush is not taller than Ramesh.
Piyush is not taller than Ramesh. Yeah, very good. Similarly, here if you apply the same concept, so A is not equal to B, or here or it is, so it will become and C is less than or equal to 2. Okay, so if you go by this condition, you will get the null set. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we'll go to next question. Yeah, you can go to menti.com and start answering this question. The similar question as of activity. So it's 10:40. So I will give you 2 minutes. Okay, so I got the first answer. Okay, great. 5 answers. It's based on simple relational algebra only. Okay, very good. 6 answers. We wait for 1 more minute. Okay, so we have 8 answers now. Oh, very nice. All of you got right. Okay. So anyone can tell me why option D is correct? Simple question, right? So a select statement, D is greater than B. So 4 is greater than B. So okay, first tuple, 1 is less than, okay, not second tuple, 3 is greater than 1. Okay, this one. So 1 is not greater than 2. Okay, so we'll get the two rules. Okay, first and third one. Okay, any questions? Okay, I guess no questions. We can move to our next question. Okay, so for this I will do 3 minutes. Okay, 10:20. Okay, you can start answering now. I think it is MS2, so you can answer multiple options. Okay, maybe more than one is right here. Okay, 4 answers. Yes. We'll wait for 1 more minute. I can see only 4. Okay, 5 answers here. Okay. Okay, so we have 9 answers. Let's see the result now. Okay. So option A got 8 answers. Option B, option C, option D. Okay. So those are answer option A. Can you tell me why it is right or it has any error? If you can unmute yourself. Okay, anyone can unmute yourself. Those are option A, B, C, or D. What do you think? Which will be the right answer?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
So I think A and B will be the answer.
A and B. Okay. So select average salary department ID from employee grouped by department ID. And B option is select key name average salary department ID from employee grouped by department ID. Okay. So why option B is right here?
So it is taking e-name, average salary, and department ID from employee and
Okay.
grouping it by department ID. So I don't know why it can be wrong.
Okay, fine. So when you try to run this SQL query in Postgres, so it will show error because it will show that employee.ename should be in the group by statement or it should have the aggregate function, right? If you are
Okay.
using group by department ID, then select statement should have that particular attribute, and along with that you can have aggregate function, that is average salary. It is the case here in the option A. So option A is right answer. Okay, so option B is not the right answer. Okay, so now what about option C?
It should be reference from employee, the department ID from employee should be written, I think.
Okay, so group by department ID should be there instead of e-name, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Why option D?
Sir,
Hello, yeah.
sir, can you again explain why option B is not
Wrong.
correct?
Okay, okay. See here, for group by ID, the attribute that you are using in group by ID should be there in the select statement. Okay, so in our case, department ID is there. Okay, now for e-name, it should be either in the group by ID or it should have some aggregate function. That only your SQL query is valid. Okay, so if you try to run this SQL query, it will show error that e-name is not in the group by ID or it should have aggregate function.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so if you want e-name here, so what you have to do, select e-name, average salary, comma department ID, from employee, group by department ID, comma e-name. Okay. So if we use here comma e-name, then it will be valid SQL query. Okay. Got it?
Sir, is concatenation of string possible in the SQL query? For example, can I say select?
Yeah, it's possible using two
Yeah.
pipe. Using two pipe.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so why option D is wrong here? Any error in that? Or no error? It is right option.
Sir, should it not select ename also?
In option D,
Yes, sir.
why name?
I mean, should it not be there like select ename, average salary, and department ID, because it is calling having ename? I don't.
Okay, suppose instead of having, I use where clause here. Okay, from employee where ename equals to Arun, group by department ID. Then
It should be correct, I think.
okay, see here, this query is wrong because you have to use the aggregate function here inside the having statement. Okay, so if you want to use ename equals to Arun, you have to use where clause before the group by ID.
Okay.
Okay.
Piyush, can I add something to this?
Yeah, yes, sir. Sure.
Yeah, please. Yeah. See, like whenever we have a group by department ID, you need to understand group by means we are collating all those tuples or the rows where that department ID is same, where the department ID is same. So that means after forming the group in a particular row, we are having a combined result of all the tuples which are combined through the group, like certain group ID here, department ID is say D002. So D002, this particular second row and the sixth row, right? So their combined result will go into a single row after doing a group by, right? So inside group by, we get a single row for all the rows which are combined by the group by clause. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So now, whenever we are combining multiple rows into a single row, which are selected by your group by, right? Now, what we can do in a multiple tuples, you can apply other aggregate functions, either aggregate functions, like we can make some kind of calculation on a particular attribute, like you can add them, you can take average, you can take count of them. So it is the aggregate function which is applicable, or you can use on which you have done the group ID, right? That group by, like here it is department ID, because the department ID is only the common thing which is shared by all the tuples which are combined by your group by clause, right? So if you think about the department ID here in the second row, the department ID is D002, and on the sixth row also it is D002. So whenever these two rows are combined, so both row will have the common department ID D002, but rest of the attributes may have a different information, like the ename. You can see for the second row it is William, and for the sixth row it is Syed, right? So there is no guarantee like other attribute also will have the same name. The same thing, the same entry we can have only for the department ID. So that is why you can have in the selection only the particular attribute you have used in group by clause or any other aggregate function. Nothing but this thing, right? So you can either use the aggregate functions or the particular attribute you have used in group by clause. Other than these things, you could not use any other attribute whenever selecting through a group by. So that's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Please carry
Thank
on.
you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So best way to learn this is to go to PostgreSQL and try running all these queries. Okay, you will get error here. You can see what is the error coming. Okay, so we'll go to next question.
So in this question, A and D are the correct options.
No, only first one is right. Only option A is correct.
See,
Only A, okay.
why not D? Having and where, there are two things to do the filtering. So where is the different? where will be applied before making the grouping, and having will be applied after making the grouping. Again, I repeat, where will be applied before making the grouping, having will be applied after making the grouping. Now, once you have grouped it, either you have to search by department ID or by any aggregate function. You cannot use any other attribute to making a filtering, right? Because those are not in your projection list. In the projection list after the group by, you can have either the particular group by attribute or the aggregate functions, right? So you can, whatever the attributes or things you have projected on, that only you can have a having clause, right? So that's why you have to either have a having clause on the group ID or on any aggregate function over here. You cannot have it on a, yeah, you cannot have it on a ename, because ename is not a projection over here, right? Yeah, we can have group by using more than one this thing attribute. Yeah.
Even if it was where ename is equal to Arun, it would
Where
be
you
wrong.
can give, where you can
Where
give.
okay.
Why? It will perform before the grouping. So before the grouping, you haven't combined the rows, right? So it is for individual row. For individual row, the ename is valid. But once you have combined the rows into a single row, right? So where the department names, department IDs are matching, those rows are merged now into a single row, right? So ename belongs to the rows you have merged. Those are different. So those names we cannot have in a merge row, right? So I'll have multiple entries in my row. So that is not allowed. So single entry after merging you can have for the department ID and any aggregate function. That is only the allowed thing. So that is allowed for your projection in the select as well as for the having. But where you can use any attribute, because the where will be applied before grouping. Is
Okay,
it
sir.
okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Piyush, please.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So we'll go to our next question.
Sir, in the last option, if we use where instead of having,
Yeah.
then the condition will change, like ename equal to, and then only first row will be selected.
First it will
Yeah.
select.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Piyush, you can do it. Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. So where, if you use a where clause before group by ID, so first it will select the Arun. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then it will show the department and an average salary of that.
Okay.
Arup,
So
you
in
want
this
to add?
case,
If you apply the where instead of having, before applying group by, first it will filter out your row, right? So you are having Arun only for one row. So one row will be first filter out, then the group by department ID will be applied. So in that case, you will select only one row, right? The first row.
yes, sir.
So first it will do the filtering, then do the group by, right? But in having, first it do group by, means grouping, then it will apply the filtering. Again, I repeat, if you have group by and where, first it will do filter using where, then it will group your rows, right? But if you have group by and having, first it will do group by, means grouping of the rows, then it will apply the filter. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So you can go to menti.com again. It's similar question that is in activity. Okay. So in the portal, this space is not visible. So we have kept this question here. You can start answering this question now.
Yes, somebody has put in discourse also, like the
Yeah.
spaces are not visible. Please note the all this kind of question, there is a space. So if you just drag your mouse pointer over that, you can identify the space.
Yeah, Arup, I'll get those fixed at the earliest. Okay. I think they have confusion with multiple questions. I have to get it synchronized with this portal team. Yeah. I'll request them to update it today itself, or maybe latest by tomorrow. Yeah.
Only two people answer. So we wait for 2 more minutes. Okay, 7 answers. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so anyone can tell me why option A is correct? So 6 people have marked this option A correct. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
As name is like percentage white space percentage, so
Okay.
anything before white space and anything after white space will be allowed. So if a employee has first name and last name both, or if any employee have only first name, so both case will be covered in this percentage white space and percentage. So first option will be right, I think.
If we use the percentage sign, there is a mandatory that it should have a string there only.
Sorry, sir.
If we use the percentage sign, is it
Hmm.
mandatory that it must return the string only?
No, it will be anything.
It will be anything.
Percent. No, it will be only string
Only string.
percentage. Hmm.
It can be null also, no? Like it can take 0 to n or white space also, right?
Right, I think.
See, underscore here means it will take, it must take only one character. If you use the percentage sign, it will take a blank space also, a white space, or it will take 0 to n character. Okay. Now tell me, okay, so our question is, given that an employee has attribute name which store the both first name and last name of an employee as a single string separated with a white space. Okay. Also, an employee may have his last name empty. So in that case, what will be the right option here? Okay, so those who have answered option D, can anyone tell me why you have marked option D? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So I think it should contain both first name and last name separated by space.
First name and last name separated by a space.
The option, I thought the options would be like all employees who have first name and last name both should return it.
So suppose instead of a percentage sign, before it's underscore sign. Okay. So like this, underscore percentage, it is space here, underscore percentage. Now tell me. Now it will return all the employees name. If I use underscore here before percentage sign. Okay. So see here. Yeah. Okay, don't know. Okay, fine. So percentage means it will take 0 to n character along with the white space. Okay. So if we use the underscore here, so there must be one character. So or after that any character will be there. Okay. So here it is not necessary that it will return the first name only. Okay, so it is white space, but in the here underscore is there, means it must return the last name.
Okay, so in this case it must return the last name.
Yeah.
I
Hello,
think
sir.
we can ask the question in a different way. See, can this query fetch the employee information who do not have the last name?
I don't think so, sir.
Yeah, right. So your
Yeah.
last name has to be there. No, at least one character has to be there on the last name. Then only it will fetch.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody was asking something.
Yes, sir. Sir, can the underscore take a white space?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so right answer is here option D. Okay, none of the above. See, we have to select star from employee where name like percentage space underscore percentage. Okay, so here if we use the only percentage sign, it is not mandatory that it will return the first name only. Okay, so option A and B are wrong. Okay, now here if you see underscore percentage name, it will retain the last name only, but along with the first name also sometimes. Okay, it can take, it may read, it may fetch first name also or may not. Okay, so in that case, none of the above will be the right answer. Means employee with may or may not be first name, but mandatory the last name. Okay, is it okay?
Anybody having doubt, you can
Yes.
raise your hand. We can discuss.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you told that underscore will contain white space, right? May contain.
Yeah.
Yes. So if a employee has only first name,
Yeah.
then after first name there are many white space. We can think.
That's normally we don't give, like normally the convention is first name followed by a space, then followed by a last name, right? So ideally, like we do not give a consecutive space after the first name.
But even otherwise, Arup, I think we are not saying like this is satisfied for every condition, right? For all the, what we are saying is, see, according to what you asked, the first name could be there and then everything else is space. So that is one case where it is satisfied. But what we are saying is this will retrieve only those cases, that is employees with only first name is what we are returning. What you said is one of the special cases. Is this, I mean, whom am I speaking to? Is this Sumishta?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you got the point. Now, what you said is one of the cases that this will return.
Right.
Got it, no?
Yes, ma'am, got it.
So it is not like employees with only first name is like an employee who has only first name, this will return. But that doesn't mean it will return only those.
Okay.
Got it? No, so that is one of the examples, but it is not like all the cases it does not have. I mean, all the values returned by does not satisfy this condition, right?
Okay. So, ma'am, when there is a white space or something like this, so this must be, and so there must be a character.
Sir, ma'am, can I say something?
Yeah, Bhaskar, yeah.
Yeah, so Sumishta, see, are you, let me confirm what you are asking. So basically you are asking that if there is only first name, right? After that, nothing is there.
Hmm.
Okay, so in that case, it is not white space or single character, it terminates. You, do you have any knowledge in C++ programming?
No, only Python.
Okay, at least you have in Python, right? So
Hmm.
mostly in Python, I don't know whether I mean, you know how internally it works, but whenever a string ends, there is at the end of the string, there is a end of line character. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Yeah. So when a string ends, there is no white space. When it is printed, you may see that some space is there after the
Right.
word, but that is not white space, right? After that, a slash n character is there. That is an end of line character is there. Correct?
Right, sir. Yes.
Okay. So is it space? Is it? It is not space. It just terminates over there. So if you are thinking that after the first name, if there is some nothing is there, so it should, and underscore matches with a space, percentage matches with a space. So in that case, it should only return the first name. That is not the correct way to think, because it is not at all space. It is a slash n. That is end of line. Understood?
Okay. Yes, sir. And so, sir, always underscores, after underscore, there will be at least one character.
On underscore, it is at least one character. If it is underscore, it has to be one character. It can be a white space, but only one white space. It can be any letter or any number, but only one. And
Okay.
percentage incorporates all characters, everything, any length or zero length also.
Okay. Got it, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I cannot understand that why the first option is not correct.
Yeah, see, always try to find a counter example, right? First option is all the employee names.
Hello, sir.
So yeah.
Sir, can I say what I have understood?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please.
Sir, I thought that the percentage symbol says any number of characters and null space.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, white space. And the underscore is one character. So if the name has only first name, then there will be at least one character, and the underscore will take the last character. So then it is true. And if there is first name white space last name, then the underscore may take the white space, and there is some characters in the before it and some character after it. So all the names should be selected. That
yeah.
I have
What you are
understood.
telling exactly correct, but what I mean to say, Piyush, can you share the slide? So like let us try to find out what are not satisfied. You are trying to find out what is satisfied, right? Let
Yes,
us
sir.
try
Yes,
to
sir.
find it out in a reverse direction. So all the employee names means all the employee names will have the first name and last name, right? But
yes, sir.
But can I select any name? Can I select any name which doesn't have the last name?
Any name which doesn't have the last name.
Yeah.
Okay, so only first name is there.
Yeah, last name is not there. So can I select
Yeah,
that?
last name is. I think I can select because the under.
See, it is just
yes.
my name is Arup Chattopadhyay, so it's just Arup. Can you select this by the query?
The percentage symbol can take nothing like percentage.
Yeah, but
can
what
take
about
null.
the space? It must contain a space, right?
Okay.
Arup doesn't have a space inside if I have only the first name, right?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So think about in a opposite, like counter example. So many things are satisfied, but we need to look at what is not satisfied. So if you think in that direction, you can understand clearly.
Okay, sir. Yes. Now, sir, I completely got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So anyone still having problem? Please clarify. These are like questions you need to clarify at your earliest so that it doesn't give you pain afterwards.
So it will only select names which have first and last name only, right?
Yeah, which is having
First and last name both.
last name is mandatory, right? And the
And
space is mandatory. The first name may not be there.
okay.
The space is mandatory and last name is mandatory. Before space may not be anything. Yeah.
First name is optional.
So the
Yeah.
So the result of the query is all the employees who have mandatorily the last name.
Mandatory
So that
last
is the
name
result.
starting beginning with a space. That's very important. It should have a space and a character at least. So simply saying it should have a space and a followed by a character at least. A space followed by a character at least. The rest could be there. It may not be there.
Basically, sir, it will find a substring, which will be a space and a character.
Which contain a space and a character as a substring. Yeah.
Which will be not available in the whenever last name is not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you can do one thing. You can try to run this SQL query and see what you get. Okay. So we'll go to our next question. Yeah. Now here. I think I already explained this. Okay. So I will give 2 minutes for that. You can start answering now.
Your screen is not being shared. Piyush?
So yes, ma'am, I'm sharing. The questions are visible, right, on the Mentimeter?
No, your screen is not being shared. No, I don't know about Mentimeter.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Now?
It's come, yeah.
Please think about the counter examples.
Yeah. So right answers. Okay. Maybe 1 more minute. Okay. So let's see the answer. Okay, very nice. Okay, people option D. And one for option B. Okay, so those are select this option B. Can you just tell me why option B is correct here? Okay, so those are select option D. Can you tell me why option D is correct here?
Hello, sir. Can I tell?
Yes, sir. Sure.
The name should be like underscore percent space underscore percent. So
Right.
there will be mandatorily a space, and
Mhm.
before the space mandatorily at least one character, and after the space at least one character. So it should be the employees who have both first name and last name.
Okay, very good. So why option A is not correct? All employees name.
Because all the employees must, some of the employees maybe there is no last name, only
Okay.
the first name.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Very
then
good.
we cannot get space. And
Yeah, right. You are correct. So option D is right answer here. I think I already explained this. Okay. So any questions on that? Any doubt? Okay, so at this now it is pretty straightforward. So I will move to next question.
Anyone want us to discuss this? Anyone? Anyone want us to discuss this? Okay, I think Piyush, we can move.
Yeah.
Nobody having problem.
Okay. So next question. I think this is the last question. So I will give 3 minutes for this. At least two people have answered this question. Okay. Just last 20 seconds. Okay, fine. So let's see the result. Oh, 5, 5, 6, 7.
This is a uniform distribution.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we start the option A. Anyone can tell me option A is correct? Okay, anyone can mute yourself and tell me which option is correct here.
Somebody who has chosen option A, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, according to the conditions, sir, first condition say underscore percentage. And Sir, I think option A should not be correct option, sir. Sir, because according to the first condition.
Yeah, correct. I'm asking who has gone for option A. Some of them can say why they think it is option A. Someone choose option B. Can you say why it is option B?
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in option B, sir, there is a white space, and after white space, only one character is present, sir. Sir, sir,
Yeah, first condition is correct for the option 1, option 2. But what about the second condition, which is on the end?
Sir, according to the second condition, after a white space, one character must be present.
Yeah, before white space.
Before white space, also one character should be there.
Then option B, how it comes?
According to second condition, option B should not be there, sir.
Yeah, because the second option say at the beginning of the space there must be one character, and the first condition say after the space there must be one character, right? So which one you think correct?
Sir, then only option D, sir, is I think correct, sir.
Piyush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so see here, option is A, ray. So it will not satisfy the first condition, that is underscore percentage space underscore. Option B will satisfy the first condition, but it will not satisfy the second condition. Okay. Now what about option C? Can anyone tell me? It should satisfy both the conditions. Okay. Okay. So see here.
Only option D will satisfy. Okay.
Only option D. Okay. Let's see the result. Okay, so I must mark this. Okay, so option D is the correct answer here. Okay, so why we have to satisfy both the condition here. If you see the option D and okay, so it will take the first underscore. Okay, and after that this percentage sign, so it can take white space also and 0 to n character also. Okay, so k will be there, and after that there is one underscore. So here n will be there. So n k n to satisfy the first condition. Now what about second condition? So underscore it will take n value, space, another underscore it will take k value. Okay. Now after that percentage sign is there. So similarly it will take space also 0 to n also. So n k n will be the right option here. Okay. Also, would you like to add something?
No, it's okay. If you have any other people like students, if you have any doubt, you may ask. Yeah.
So B and D are correct answers, right?
What? B and D?
Yeah.
No. Why B is right here?
Because there's
Is it satisfying second condition here?
No, sir.
Then.
See, the first condition tells you, right, after space there must be one character, right? After space there must be one character. And the second condition say before space there must be one character. This is before space there is one character, but after space you are having many characters. So it is not fulfilling both the conditions. This is before space more than one character, after space one character. So this is also not fulfilling. If you look at this, before space you are having one character, after space you are having many characters, but in the fourth condition only, before and after space you are having exactly one characters.
Okay.
So only option D is right here. Okay. I think
is it correct now? Is it okay all?
Sir, can I add some?
Yeah, sure.
So, can you go to that last question? So this one. Okay, so I want all of you to respond to one last thing. So assume that the first condition that is there, that underscore percentage space then underscore, the first like condition. So that is eliminated. Only the second condition is there. Then which option do you think will satisfy? Or more than one option if you think it is more than. Someone can just comment. Yeah. You don't have to submit answers or something like that. Just unmute yourself and explain it. Only second condition is there. First condition is not there.
So it should be option A, option C, and option D.
Achha,
Yes, ACD.
Yeah. So before going to the see, my objective to ask this question was not to get the answer. You guys will definitely find it out. My objective was how you proceed with these questions. What is the way to solve these questions? So when you get something like this where you have to match patterns, and this thing you will not face not only in DBMS, in your further courses also in computer science courses, matching patterns is something which is very important and you will have to do it. The best way to do it, as Arup sir also suggested while he was teaching you, that you have to follow the one principle that you have to find out that which things are compulsory. Now percentage is a symbol that will incorporate everything. So at first what you have to ignore is percentage. Whenever you see percentage, ignore that at first. At first see which things are compulsory. Like when you get an underscore, it means one character must be there. It can be a white space, but one character, only one white space is allowed. So see the underscore. If there is some hard-coded character means like in this example, space is a hard-coded character that we have explicitly provided one space in the pattern. You may have hard-coded character like some alphabet, ABCD is given. Where name like A underscore percentage. That is the name must start with A. Something like that. So see for hard-coded characters. So these compulsory characters you have to find out, and depending upon that you should proceed. Okay, so that's the way out to solve these kind of questions. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any questions? I think we can go for now activity question here. Okay.
Okay, Piyush,
Yeah.
before moving to activity question, I want to discuss something like from a slide.
Okay, okay. I will stop sharing.
Yeah, please give me a sharing for a moment. Yeah. So like if you have installed Postgres inside your machine, you can also try to do it simultaneously with me because that gives you much more clarification. So let me do it. So can you see the slide? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So see, there is something called as a top, right? So using top, we can say how many rows from the top we have to select for a given query, right? So what we have written over here that in SQL Server and MS Access, we can have a select top command. So suppose you give a select query, which will return a number of rows, but you don't want to see all the rows. Suppose you want to see only the top 2 or 3 rows. So suppose you want to see the top 5 rows. So you can say top 5, then star from whatever the query. So it will only show you the top 5 rows. But this top particular keyword is different in different kind of database software. Like as it is mentioned in MySQL, we use limit, and Oracle we are having something called as a fetch, right? Fetch n rows. So from the beginning it will fetch n number of rows. Now here what is not mentioned, what we do in PostgreSQL. So in PostgreSQL we basically use limit. We use a limit. So I want to show you how the limit can be used. Can you see this? I'm
Yes,
in
sir.
my PSQL.
Yes.
I'm in my PSQL. So let us see what are the tables I have. So I'm in the university schema. So there is a table called as a student, right? So if I give a select star
Arup, I'll just interrupt for a second. So every one of you, please, when you come before the next session, have your PSQL and PostgreSQL and everything installed and working. Have the university database loaded from the dbbook.com. So I have messaged that in one of the Discourse responses also. So just visit db-book.com, which is the homepage for the Silvershat's book. There you will get the SQL commands and everything that you need to load this university database. And the data sets that we have given, right, the FLIS, the LIS, everything, if you load, and then, I mean, we are not going to use anything beyond that. So it will be easy if you can also sit and work out the queries along with us. I mean, you cannot learn these things just by watching. Hands-on experience is very important. Yeah. Arup, we can continue.
Yeah. So suppose I want to deal with the student database, student table. So if you want to see the schema of the table, you can give a \t, then a student. Right. So it shows the schema. So you are having ID, which are a varchar, name varchar, like all the attributes with the information like a primary key and foreign key, everything. And if you want to see the instance, what are there inside your table, you have to give a select, right? Select star means select everything from the table student. So these are the information at this moment we are having inside the table. So it is the instance of the table, right? Now you need to remember the order of the rows or the order of the tuples is not having any significance, because next time if I run the same select command, I may get it in a different order. If you run the same select command inside your machine, you may get a different order. So it's basically a set. So in a set, the order does not matter. So in whichever order you are getting your rows listed over here, that does not having any significance. But you can make the ordering significance if you use a order by clause. So suppose I want to order them in a descending order of the total credit. So how do I do it? I say select star from student order by total credit. So if I just do it like this, it will give the ordering in an ascending order. See, it is given the order of the rows as per the total credit in an ascending order, right? But if I want a descending order, I need to add a DESC. So that means it is descending. So this is the descending order, right? Now suppose I need to select only the first row that is having the highest credit, right? Or I want the information about the particular student who is having the highest credit. So how I can do that? So after giving select star from student order by total credit in a descending order, I put limit. Then I say 1. So see the information, the first row information is basically given to me, right? So it basically up to descending order, it gives the total this relation. But as you give the limit 1, that means from the top, you're just going to find only one row. So if you just make it 2, means from the top, you're going to find second row, right? Now suppose you want to find only the second row. You want to find only the second row, not the first row, right? So as I told, limit will start printing from the first or the top row, right? But I want only the second row. So how it is possible? So there is another keyword over here that's called offset, right? Offset. So I say limit 1, then offset 1. That means limit 1 means go to the first row. Go to the first row. Offset 1 means from there go to the next row. Means go next by 1 row. That means the second row. Similarly, if I want to go to suppose to the 5th row, I want to go to the 5th row. So I'll go to the first row. Then what is the distance? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have to go to the 5th row. So I'll just make it as a offset as a 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th row, no, it's offset by 4. First, from first to 4. Yeah. Yeah, from the beginning it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from the beginning I have to give a offset by 4 positions. So this is like a alternative of the top, whatever our professor has discussed over here. So you can try out this. Okay, so I'll stop here. So anyone having any doubt? You want to ask anything regarding this offset and limit? Anyone want to ask anything? I think there is no question. So Piyush, shall we move to the
Sir,
activity? Yeah.
Yeah, I think in comment, Pritodeep was asking about what if there are multiple rows. So are we going to address that issue over here? Or
Oh, you want to select? I'll suggest you try yourself. It's very simple. If you don't get it, we can discuss again in the practice session. I don't want to show everything because I want something you will do. This very, very simple thing. Once you just type it and try once, I think everyone can do it. So I'm not showing intentionally. I'll show it. If you're not getting, I'll show it on the next day.
Yeah, you can try this. If you have any problem, you can ask us in discourse forum. Okay.
Yeah, in the next session also we can take it.
Yeah.
Like in the I can show you like how to do it. This is simple. Yeah. Piyush, can we go to go to here?
Sure. Okay. Okay. So any doubt in activity questions? Please tell me any question.
You can
lecture
unmute yourself
2.1.
and directly
Yeah.
ask the question.
First in lecture 2.1, any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
If you can discuss about the differences between the keys, the surrogate key or synthetic key and primary key.
Surrogate key, synthetic key, primary key. Okay. Okay. So consider a table bank here. Okay. So bank may have customer ID, name, age, PAN card, and Aadhaar card. Okay. So now, what is primary key here? Okay. So first, tell me what do you mean by primary key? What are constraints to it? Can you please tell me?
So it is the main key and it cannot be null, I think.
Okay. It should be not null. Plus, it should be unique, right?
Right.
Okay. So in bank, customer ID should be not null and it must be unique. Similarly, if you want to open a bank account, you should have PAN card and Aadhaar card also. Okay. So now out of these three, which one is the primary key according to you? Which can be a primary key?
The user ID?
Customer ID, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Why not PAN card and Aadhaar card? Because our condition is without PAN card and Aadhaar card, you cannot open the bank account. So PAN number and Aadhaar card is also not null and unique for all customer, right?
Right.
And then how many primary key are here? How many candidate key?
Maybe 3 candidate key. For primary key, those should be customer ID, PAN, and Aadhaar.
Customer ID, PAN card, and Aadhaar card. Okay. So see here, we can take customer ID also primary key, PAN card, and Aadhaar card also. Okay. But our table must contain only one primary key. Okay. So here we will take customer ID as a primary key. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So primary key should have not null constraint plus it must be unique. Okay. So customer ID is a primary key here.
Right.
Okay. So now what you ask about surrogate key and synthetic key. Okay. So both are the same thing. So only the difference is that it is a pseudo key, means it is not exist in a table. Okay, if you see the professor lecture, sir has explained very nicely. They have taken the example of Amazon. So if you order something from Amazon, you will get it order number, right? Order ID.
Right.
Is it there already in your profile? See, your profile has your name, your address, your PIN code, right? Order ID is not there. So it is unique for every order, right? It is generated up once you place the order ID here.
Right.
Okay, so it will work as a surrogate key there. And here also, suppose one or more customer has a is more than so let's say we add here address also. Okay, suppose one or more customer have different address. So in that, if we need to update it, customer ID will be same, but instead of we can add here serial number. Okay, so it may be 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this serial number will be a surrogate key here.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Arut, would you like to add anything in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the thing is, like, I'm just telling about the concept, like whatever Piyush is saying, that's absolutely correct. Just the thing is, like, from the business information, whenever you do not get any attribute which can uniquely identify all the information in for a particular entity, right, or a object, what you do, you just create one attribute yourself which will be unique for all the entities, and that we called it as a synthetic key. Suppose in our classroom, right, in a classroom, we think of the students having different names, different kind of what I say, different kind of subjects and all. But I don't find any like any particular attribute which is very unique, like student, that some two student may have the same name, or more than two or more than two student may have a unique subject, may have a same subject, right? So whenever I'm not having such a situation, my business is not giving or suggesting any attribute which is unique in a particular solution, then what I'll do, I'll just create a serial number kind of thing. I say the first student is serial number 1, second student is serial number 2, like this, right? So that not included in my business requirement, but as I have to make the rows unique, I have just created that particular, added that particular column or that particular attribute. So that's basically a synthetic one, which I have created for identifying my entity separately.
Sir, can we say that synthetic key is secondary candidate key?
There is no term called a secondary candidate key.
I mean secondary key there.
Secondary key is a different thing. See, you can have many candidate keys in a table, right? So
Right.
only one candidate key can become a primary key, right? So once from the n number of candidate key, you make one as a primary key, rest of the n-1 will call it as a secondary key.
Okay, anything, any candidate key other than the primary key.
Primary key is a secondary key. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir,
but that pseudo key or the synthetic key, it's actually a candidate key, it's correct, but we take it, we design it because of making it as a primary key, because we're not able to find out any suitable primary key in the table. So that's why we're adding additional column which will use as a primary key. Getting? So
yes,
whenever
sir.
I'm having multiple candidate key, I can definitely select, but whenever I cannot select, or I do not have any suggestion for the candidate key, so which one become a primary key? I don't know. So I have to additionally add a particular column where the entries are unique, and I'll make it as a primary key. That's basically is a that synthetic key. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Arup, may I just add something?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's more
please,
like,
please.
if you have some auto increment field, right, which you, something like a primary, something like a field which will get automatically incremented every time and this thing is added, right? I mean, you want to, and you use that as an identifier for that row, then that is a synthetic key, right?
Yeah, serial number kind of thing.
Something like that. Yeah. So synthetic is like, it is not part of, I mean, there is nothing that you can make out from the application data as such. It's something synthetic. It is unnatural in the sense that it is something artificial, something that we have added just for a sake of identification. That's it. Yeah. So the word synthetic itself, right? It's not something which is naturally following from the application data.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in lecture video, professor told that candidate keys, first name and last name will be candidate key, right?
No, if you watch those complete video, na, sir has actually cancelled that after that. Sir has
Yes,
said,
yes, right.
if the person has same first name and last name, then it cannot be a primary key, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, sir is discussing over there that if we select first name and last name as a candidate key, now if that constraint is pre-implemented, it is enforced, then it is okay. But in general scenario, considering first name last name pair as a candidate key is not a good choice. So that is the focus of that lecture at that point, right? So he is actually trying to point out what are the what points, what factors you should keep in mind while selecting a proper primary key from a set of candidate key, or whether a candidate key is also good or not, right? So those points were
Right,
important.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sir, what is the definition of super key? I can't understand that part.
Super key.
Which
Bhaskar,
keys
would you
will
like
be
to read
called
this
super
question?
key?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm good. So super key is something you are familiar with set and superset, Sumishta? Okay. Anyway, no problem. So see, consider you have a candidate key. Okay. And after that, you add any attribute which is not in that candidate key. Then it is a super key. Simple definition.
Simply saying any set of attributes, simply saying any set of attribute which can uniquely identify a entry in your table, a tuple in a table. A set of attributes which uniquely identify a tuple in your table, a entity in a table. But the set I'm telling, say inside my table, if I consider all the attributes, is it not a super key?
May not.
Why? Because all the entries will be unique in a table, right? Means there must be at least one attribute in your table that will have a different entry for each entry.
Consider
In
the
a
whole
table.
row. Yeah, consider the whole row, not one attribute. What sir is trying to tell you is, yeah, we can draw it. That the whole entry you should consider, not one attribute. Yeah, sir, continue.
Okay.
Yeah, see here, if suppose there is a bank table, right? Customer ID, name, and age. Okay, these are the three attributes, and customer ID is the primary key. Okay, so combination of customer ID with name is a super key. Combination of customer ID with age is also super key, but name and age cannot be a super key. Okay.
Yes, because
Combination of customer ID,
2%.
name, and age is also super key.
This is a simple way.
Because they are not unique, right?
Yeah, simple way. If customer ID is unique, then customer name also has to be unique. If customer ID is unique, then customer age also has to be unique. If customer ID is unique, then customer ID, name, and age has to be unique. So all this set of attributes are basically the super key, right?
Right.
Now the minimal of the super key is the candidate key. Now if I consider customer ID, one candidate key, customer ID name, customer ID one super key, customer ID name another super key, customer ID age another super key, customer ID name age another super key. So we are having 4 super key.
Right.
So which is minimal of these sets?
Customer ID only.
Yeah, so that is the candidate key. So minimal of the super key is the customer ID.
Okay, so got it now.
Yeah.
So I'll just add one more definition, So that it is like any set of attributes which has a candidate key as a subset. Is it correct? Proper subset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I said whether you are aware of superset subset.
Yeah. Okay. I think they have learned set theory in the maths one. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yes,
we should know what subset is. So any set of attributes which has a candidate key as a proper subset. That's the definition of that.
Okay.
So sir, we can say that all super key, all candidate key and the primary key is the super key.
Can you please repeat? All?
Yeah.
All the primary key and the candidate key is the super key.
Yeah.
Primary key and candidate key is super key. Yeah.
And but all the super key is not a candidate
Not a
key
primary key.
or the super
Yeah, the
primary.
minimal of the super key is the candidate key, not all.
Okay,
I think there is an
and
activity question. The direct question is like something like this is there. Okay, anyways.
oh, okay. And if there is just more than one candidate key who has the only one column, is the candidate key we can take as the primary key.
Yeah,
Our goal is
primary key is a candidate key, but all the candidate keys are not primary key.
yeah. So if candidate key has that one column and the two column together to attribute together, so
yeah,
if there is a one candidate key, one column with candidate key, so we can take as the primary key.
No, that's not always needed. No, I mean, we
No.
don't look at like I mean, it is not dependent on the number of columns constituting a candidate key. It depends on use case, it depends on many other things. But any candidate key is a likely candidate for becoming a primary key. It's not dependent on the number of columns in the candidate key.
Okay, so ma'am, whenever we take the primary key, it's sometimes we also take the two column together as the primary key, or that it is most of time it is only one column.
It depends on the situation. It
Yeah,
depends on
yeah.
the situation. So all the candidates are equally eligible to become a primary key, but it is a business decision which one I'll select as a primary key. So candidate key also can have a single attribute or multiple attribute, right? So any of them can be becoming my primary key.
Okay, so it is personal choice. There is no method.
It is a business choice, yeah.
Okay.
Application choice, yeah.
In lecture 2.1, what kind of key is roll number and what kind of key is order ID?
Actually, what professor? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can I? Yeah. What professor is saying that order ID and another is roll number, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What professor meant to say, the roll number having a long-term use in your database. It is not only for identifying student, it is somewhere used as a foreign key or something. So it is having a large amount of use, but order number is only related to the order till the order exists. So once the order is delivered or something, the order entity, when it's valid till the order entity is valid rather. So it is having a smaller lifetime. So that's why we should consider the order ID as a synthetic key, whereas considering the roll number, which is having more activities rather than only identifying an entity, I should say, we should have it as a normal primary key, not a synthetic key. That's the idea is. Yeah. So am I clear?
Because I felt that even the life cycle of a student doing a term, because as you said, even order ID
depends
can be
on the
linked
scenario,
to other
definitely.
tables.
Yeah, it depends on the scenario, but normally a roll number for a student remains constant till he is completing his course, right? Which becomes fixed. But compared to that, a order ID having a very small lifespan. It is just for only identifying the order. It is not serving any other purpose, that I meant to say. But roll number having many things, like many activities or many functionalities of it, other than just identifying a student.
Thank you.
Yes, someone is asking, a table can have only one primary key. Yeah, only one primary key. Yeah, please. Someone was.
Table, you said order number. So in order number, what are the values like? Is it 1, 2, 3, or is it a code like 1, 2, 6?
It depends on the situation. See, code we normally take whenever we want to encapsulate many things together. Encapsulate in the sense, we want to pack different information together. Suppose in the order ID, I want to pack the information, the place where it has to deliver, maybe a pin code information, maybe the product information. So using that, suppose I make a 5-character code, or it could be a serial number 1, 2, 3 like that. it depends on my situation. If the situation demands I have to create an ID which will pack a different of information, I'll go for a code. If I think it I have to get a number which will uniquely identify my order, then I'll go for a serial number. It basically depends on demand of your application.
So, yeah, one example I'd say is like your own roll number, right? For the online degree ID, it has the year of starting and all that, no? So by looking at your roll number, we can make out a lot of things, right? But it could very well have been a serial number. I mean, starting from 1, 2, 3, and it could still have done the functionality. But why we have given that coding is because just by looking at the roll number, we can make out a lot of things. So it's depending on, it's again, as Arup said earlier, it's a business decision.
No, in order number, like do we create values or computer automatically creates it?
What is that order number, whether it is?
Values in order number, do we create these values or the computer automatically creates these order number values?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways of doing it. Okay, so even when it is a coded value, even then the computer can create it. Say suppose you are saying, so what it will do is if you want to generate an order number which is going to be placed today and you want to prefix a date, the system will take the system date, concatenate it with the order number which was done earlier, and then it will take the location ID that also it will append to it as an order number. So that's again generated by the computer, but the algorithm has been written by us. So if you're asking whether we are manually creating the order number, no. Ultimately, it will be created by the system only. If you are just, it's an auto increment thing, even then it is computer generated. So it is possible to do it, manually also, but in almost all the computer systems, even these coded values, right, that is also generated automatically by some kind of an algorithm. Is that what you asked?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
If roll number was a serial number, that would be a synthetic key.
You can look at it either way, I would say. I mean, you don't.
Basically, the use case. It is basically the use case. Like if the roll number having only the purpose of live to identify only the student, then it is a synthetic key. If it is having more role than on the identification, then it is used in a business demand. So it is not a synthetic key, it's a real primary key. It depends on the use case scenario.
Can I add something, sir?
Yeah, please, Bhaskar.
Yeah, so there is a lot of confusion regarding this synthetic key concept. So let me try to give one case scenario. Okay. First of all, as sir, ma'am, and you, sir, explained all of you that this is something, synthetic is something in its name, it is synthetic. That is, it is not related to the semantics of the data. The very concept of the data, it is not related with that. It is something that the system or the database administrator himself or herself generates in order to uniquely identify, or maybe not only uniquely identify, in order to have some internal operation with respect to the database management system. So for an example, consider a bank. In that bank, the account numbers means in one table, the bank stores all the account details. Now, one constraint is there that every tuple in that table must have only, means if there is an account number, that account number will be unique. That is, you cannot have more than one entry with respect to that account number, and that is logical, right? Because if one account is there, then it is only one entry in that table. So what I mean to say is, you cannot have joint holders on an account. So if there are joint holders on an account, then there will be two tuples with respect to each holder of that account, and that will have the same value in that account number column, right? So you and your mother are joint holder of an account. So two tuples will be there in that table, which will have the same account number, and the person name will be different. One will be yours, another will be your mother's name, right? So that is how a joint account works. But the bank enforces a condition that this should not be done. We do not accept any joint account holders. If you want to have an account, you must be a single holder. Just hypothetically consider this scenario. So in that table, the account details that will, the account number that will only serve as the primary key, and there is no need to have anything else. But in a table where you must have joint account holders, and there is a constraint on that, the name of the person who is in joint, that may change sometimes. Are you getting my point? So that is something which is dependent on the business logic. I can change a joint holder with whom I am joint if I am the primary holder of that account. So that we can do. So setting the name and account number together as the primary key, it may not be always a good choice. So that's why sir said that these are very use case specific things. So what I can rather do is I can generate an attribute myself as a database administrator on the same table that will have the serial number, which may be auto incrementing one, which maybe I can set it to some specific format, like I set the format to be a timestamp. Okay, so timestamp is a very good synthetic key. That is an example of a nice synthetic key or surrogate key. Timestamp is used as a very good synthetic key because it will be unique every time. Getting my point? Timestamp will change, something will change. Even if you do it automatically, some machine does it in terms of millisecond, in orders of millisecond or microsecond, it will change. So we can have timestamp as a surrogate key. So basically,
provided there is no concurrent write.
What I did not get you.
Provided there is no concurrent write in
there is no
database.
Yeah, maybe you can say that. Yeah, even if there is a concurrent write, you can on a single architecture system, maybe on a single processing system, then also it is maybe concurrent, but there will be actually it is serialized only. But if you have multi-processing system, then it will work. So we are not going into that details. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can say that provided there is no concurrent write. But yeah, so basically what we are trying to point out is surrogate key or synthetic key is something which is not related to the semantics of the data. It is only an operational attribute that we create in order to ease our operation on the database management system. Okay, fine. I think that was a bit long, but yeah. Yeah, sir, please continue.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar. Any other question, please? In activity part?
Hello, sir.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, a surrogate key must be unique. Domain of surrogate key.
Yeah, surrogate key must be unique.
So we can't use the same order ID for different customer.
Same order ID for different customer.
After delivery.
It's a primary
no.
key, no? Kind of a primary key. It has
Yeah.
to be unique, right?
We can't use. Yeah. We can't use.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Order ID is unique for every order, right?
Okay.
If I place the order now, my order ID is something 1001. So if you place the order now, your order ID may be different. But this order ID is used to track our shipment also, na?
Right.
Yeah.
So, sir, in technically, you are telling that it's something like a unique identifier, like correct segregate key. So we are generating by a sequence number. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It automatically become a unique key, even we are not forcing as a unique or primary key in the commercial.
Yeah. So business logic doesn't mention what will be the unique key, or we cannot find out the unique key. So we basically add it separately.
It's just running serial number and
to unify uniquely identify the rows. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So what is meant by a relation is not union compatible?
Union compatible.
Yes, sir.
Shall I answer?
Yes, sir.
See, to apply the union, intersection, and the minus except what you want, the relations, these are all binary kind of operations, right? The union, except, and the intersection, right? So this needs, so it binary in the sense it involves two relations, right? So two relations, first they must have the equal number of attributes, and the corresponding attributes must have the same domain or same type, right? Again, I repeat, the first condition, they should have the same number of attributes, and secondly, the corresponding attributes must be of the same type. Otherwise, you cannot. It's basically you are joining them like sorry, it's not join. You are, whenever you are performing union, intersection, and the minus operation, you need to match the corresponding attributes, right? So if If the corresponding attributes are not of the same type, or number of attributes are not equal, then this kind of operation cannot be performed. So these are two conditions for union compatibility: the equal number of attributes and the corresponding attributes must be of the same type.
Okay, sir, understood.
Sir, one question here. In term of relation, it's okay that you can say that the type of that column, okay, the number of columns should be same, I agree. The type of column should be same. But in the, if you see in the database consider like Oracle or SQL Server, it's not necessary that the type are same. So here, I think there is a little bit discrepancy there compared to relation and that.
It should be compatible type. It should be compatible type.
Correct. Okay, then okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in lecture 1, under relational schema and instance, Professor showed a relation like smaller belongs to capital R, subset of D1 cross D2 up to Dn. I can't understand this, but can you elaborate?
Can you tell us the slide number or any reference?
First slide. Yes. Page number 10. Relational schema and instance. Yes, that part.
What's the problem? Can you please repeat?
Yes, smaller belongs to capital R, subset of D1 cross D2 up to Dn. Professor, write that equation. I can understand that part. Here, A1 up to An are attributes, and D1, D2 are domain of A1, A2, or these are tuples for each row.
Whenever normally we write in capital letter, means we are mentioning the schema, right? Capital R means the schema. So schema means it is set of attributes and their types, right? And whenever we are mentioning small r, that means an instance. So instance means we are mentioning what are the tuples. So T is a tuple, right? So capital S, capital R, whenever throughout the lecture you'll find, that means it's the schema. It is talking about the attributes of a particular relation. Whenever you are having a small r or small s, then you are talking in terms of the instance, means you are talking in terms of tuples. Now you tell what is your question. Yeah, please.
So in this point, formally given sets D1 up to Dn, a relation R is a subset of D1 cross D2 up to Dn. That part I can't understand.
Okay. So A1 having the domain D1, right? So D1 is the allowed value for A1. Is it okay?
Okay.
Suppose for A1, allowed value is A to Z, small a to Z. So how many values? 26. Right? For A2, suppose it is a single digit, 0 to 9. So how many values? 10 values?
10.
Just forget about rest of the values. Suppose we are having A1 and A2. So how many combinations we can have? We can have any combination with 26 alphabets. 10. So it's basically 26 into 10.
Right.
So if you have that many, it's basically up to n, then the same calculation. So you will have any of them, any combination of them.
And sir, also this D1 up to Dn, that is subset of capital R is subset of that part. That means what? Is it not equal to?
I'm not getting
the given relation is a subset, right? There are all possible combinations of D1 cross D2 cross Dn cross, right? But the table that we have need not be, see, suppose you say that, the first column can take any value from A to Z. Our relation, the table that is given may not take all the A to Z combinations, right? It will be a subset of those combinations, no?
Yes, or maybe whole set.
That is possible. It's either whole set is also a subset, right? It's when you say proper subset, then there is something out of it. When you say subset, it can be equal to the set also, right?
Right, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. Any more questions? So now question in activity part, okay?
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Sir, where we will need the character encoding, the Bhaskar set has taught us about character encoding. So,
Yeah.
Bhaskar, yeah. Please.
So you will see. So character encoding you will need in the some memory when we will go into the memory parts, that how how DBMS interact in the physical layer actually. So how recovery is done. In fact, in indexing topic you will also need, while bit mapping some points will be there. Mainly recovery, indexing, these topics are one that where you will need encoding.
so we will have to know all the numbers which are encoded.
No. Even just the concept you have to understand. The numbers, the ASCII value that will be given. One thing that is there in the slide, in the tutorial, I think I have given 2 or 3 ranges, that what are the capital letter ranges,
Yes,
what are the number ranges. So it is good to memorize only the capital. Memorize means capital A starts from 65. This is one thing you have to remember. You remember, sorry. Right. So to this one range, you can just keep in mind that capital A starts from 65. That's enough, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one question from the practice assignment?
No, that will take on Wednesday.
Yeah, so if all other questions are over, I mean, see, the idea is why we don't want to discuss it today. We want to give time for others also to work out, and then on practice session we'll take it up.
No, it's actually you cannot say. I have doubt about that question, that foreign key. Okay.
Oh, okay. You can ask.
If in the question 5 you see that answer what selection is there, the foreign key is a data element or attribute within a data field of data record within a database that refers to either primary key or an attribute with a unique constant. But it's not always required that for making a foreign key, the counter table or the table should have a primary or unique key. You can have a multiple record also there. So I think this is not actual correct.
No. So can I answer this just?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So you are saying that if you want to refer a table's column from a foreign key of another table, so it may not be primary key or unique. Am I correct?
Right.
So have you tried doing it?
Yeah, in Oracle SQL Server we tried and it is working. That's why I'm telling you. I don't know about the PostgreSQL or other database, but this 2 database it is working. I used it, that's why I got the doubt. So I just want to cross check.
Okay, so see, so in Oracle, I think we have not checked it, but conceptually, if you see the logically what, did you see any documentation why it is allowing? Because see, what I want to say is, logically, if you are referring to another table's attribute and keeping one attribute in your table as the foreign key, why are we doing that? What is the need for making foreign key? The only need is we want to eliminate the redundancy.
Yes, agree, 100% agree.
Right. So if we are referring to a table which has redundant data, so then what is the point making a foreign key?
No, see, some cases if you have a like master, child and child, if you consider a master and child, what you are telling, agree that for the child, the master should have a unique key or a primary key, agree. But if you come to master, child and sub-child, okay, I'm telling about in the commercial, not in the actual bookish term. So when you're coming in the sub-child table, some cases we need to refer the child table, and in the child table there can be a cases you have to pick the record which are not unique. And what you are telling logically means logically you can say that the primary key, it should have a primary key, but in the actual coding term or database term, it not always happening. So just I want to point out. Okay, if you want, I will just put a command and I will post it to in the.
Yeah. So that would be nice. Then I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we will get back.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. Any doubt in this activity part?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between relational query language and structure query language?
Relational query and structure query language. Okay. Sir, would you like to take this question?
Structure query language is basically the SQL, what we mentioned, right? So relational query languages are basically of two kinds, we say. So relational query language is basically means for querying into a relational database, right? That's the first thing is. So now relational query languages could be of two kinds. It could be either a pure relational query, or it could be a pure relational language, or it's a commercial relational language, right? So pure means it gives you a mathematical foundation to implement a particular language which could be used commercially. So it gives a mathematical basis. So normally the pure category, the things comes like a relational algebra, then calculus, relational calculus, like tuple calculus, domain calculus, which we'll learn afterwards. So those basically are giving you a mathematical basis for implementing what we'll use commercially. And SQL is basically what is used in commercial databases. That's basically the language used by the application programmers or other administrator or people, right?
Okay,
So do you
sir.
want to know more, like anything else specific?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, so Arup, we are going to have these relation query languages later in detail.
Yeah,
right?
week 4 we are having in detail.
Yeah. Then it will become clearer. If it's still you have an issue, then we can discuss it further.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Can I ask a question related PostgreSQL SQL?
Yeah. PostgreSQL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So suppose we have a 3 database till now, like that list.sql, flist.sql, and the university. So when we save all the 3 database on the server, then it's all coming in the same database with 27 tables. So yeah. Is that this is way of the keeping data, or we have to separate by database, and each database has the different table?
I didn't get you. Can you please repeat?
So I have suppose the 2 database. One is the university, one is the book library.
Okay.
So once we save on the database, should I save in the different folder, or that it will save on the database in the same folder and with the so many table?
No. You have to create 2 different databases, like university.
Okay.
Other one is what you said. Other one.
University, library,
University and library.
Okay, yeah. University and library. Okay. So you have to create database with university name and different database with LIS name, because the table will be different. If you try to do suppose inner join and outer join, then it may cause any problem if you create the same table inside the same database.
So can you tell me the PSQL query to create the database and do this?
Simple.
Because
yeah, I'm showing
database
it.
Name. Yeah.
I'm showing it.
Yeah.
Can you stop sharing?
So Kumar, it is not like the file system, where we store it in separate folders or anything. That's implicitly taken care of by the database. We just say that, okay, you create this database, and every time you want to connect it, you do a /c and the database name.
Yeah, it's just like a namespace, which give a uniqueness to your table. Like you cannot have the same table name used multiple times. But whenever you create a different database, then place your table inside that. It's like you can reuse it in for some other database. Okay, I'm showing it, right?
Okay.
Kumar, and you are not using it, you are not saving it inside the Windows folders, okay? Once you go inside the PSQL, it is taken care of by the database, the DBMS actually. But how it is stored internally, it should not matter to you. If you want to have 2 different, university database is something totally, see why we are saying 2 databases. So suppose there is a university, it has a database. Suppose there is a library, it has a different database. In your machine, you have it because you want to try out different queries and everything. They are 2 different things which don't have anything in common. So it is not like same folder or different folder or anything. You connect to the database, you say that, okay, I have to connect to this database, and that is taken care of by the DBMS. Internally, how it is stored is not does not matter to you. That is one of the advantages of using the DBMS also. Got it, no?
Oh, yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, please, we can see what Adobe is demonstrating.
So if you want to see what are the databases already there inside, it's a \L, right? So suppose you want to create a new, right? It's a create database. So I name it as a say MyDB, right? So this is the database name. So this creates a new database. So whenever you change from current database, what is Postgres, into the MyDB, you say \C, then type MyDB. So you can see the prompt got changed. It's a MyDB. So you are inside the MyDB database. So if you want to find out what are the tables inside MyDB, currently there is no table because you haven't created, right? Now, if you don't want to use it, you have to come out. So I go for the Postgres. Now, if you want to drop your database, you have to use a drop database. So if you drop it, it will drop it along with all the tables created inside it, right? So I say MyDB. So you can see it's a drop database. So database got deleted, what I have created as a MyDB. That's all. I think it's a clear, no? Create database, then the database can drop. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Actually, I saved that wrong way, I think.
Okay.
In my case, it's all the tables. It came in the inside the same thing. I'm sending this. It's look like that.
Okay.
So I think I saved that the all three
you have
database.
saved it directly inside your root database, like Postgres only. You haven't created.
Correct.
It's better to have different databases because in that case, no, the table name won't collide. Like if you have the same table name for two different databases, then you'll have a problem. It will overwrite the.
Yes, I got it.
So Kumar, what happens is when you are logging to PSQL, it will log into by default the default database, which is Postgres. That's why you see the Postgres prompt. So you are at that Postgres database. Whereas if you want to create a university database and if you want to have this logical separation between the two, then you have to create both these databases separately and save the tables accordingly. So every time you want to run a query on a particular table, you have to switch to that database using the \C command and then try to access the tables inside that.
Yes, now got it. Like that, I have to make this.
Yeah, I think even in the instructions, maybe we didn't make it clear. I don't know whether, I don't know how you got it confused, but maybe we'll just see the instructions and change it if needed.
Okay.
More question?
So, anything else?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the chat, ma'am has shared two links. We have to download it and then what to do? Yeah,
so they are all .sql files that you get from there. And how to add .sql files is something that there is in the demo, that loading tar files, there is a PDF which we have shared, no? If you can see in the resources from instructor, you can see the loading tar file. So inside that, Piyush has actually given how to load the .sql file also. You please follow the instructions and using that you can add it to your university database. So first create university database and then use the instructions given by Piyush to add the tables.
Okay, and also the library information and the other database we have to install in the system.
Yeah, in your machine, if you install it, it will be easy for you to, the practice assignment question, graded assignment questions that we are giving will be based on these two databases. So if you load it, like again, you have to create the LISDB, you have to create the FLISDB, and using the tar files that we have given or the .sql files that we have given, you have to load data from the tar or the SQL into these corresponding databases. And then whenever the question that we would have written which database to connect to, that particular query is for which database. So if you're going to run that query, you would just change to that database using the \C, that database name command, and then create your, prepare your query and run it on the prompt.
And ma'am, the last date for query assignment, what is the last date?
We are not sure yet. Currently, I think it is at September 19th. As far as I understand, there has been no change in that, but we are yet to give you the submission link, right? So that will take another 1 or 2 days. But I've already mentioned, I think I already sent it out as an announcement or somewhere, but you can be ready with the queries. Whenever the submission link is ready, you can start uploading the SQL files.
Okay.
Okay.
So we will have to create SQL files and submit it. Right?
Yeah, again, I'm not very clear about the exact format. We are still testing these things out. It could be either as a file, but all detailed instructions will be given to you while we are providing the submission link. Whether you have to enter it in some text editor or whether you're going to have each query as a separate file is something we are still figuring out. We are working on auto evaluation of these scripts. So this it's a bit tricky for us even now. Look, so in another 1 or 2 days, you will be given the submission link, and all the details as to how to submit it will also be given along with that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
What I will suggest you that you try to run those query in PSQL shell and copy that query in Notepad and save it as .sql file.
Yeah, that will help you. And as soon as we give the submission link, even if it is a simple text editor, you can just copy it from the .sql file. You can just name it as like, P1, P2, etc. for practice 1, practice 2, etc. and G1, G2, etc. for the graded 1, graded 2, etc. So that whenever submission link is ready, you can just submit it there. Or you can just, if it is a simple text editor, you can copy from that .sql file and paste it there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So what Piyush is saying is just be prepared with the queries. That's it.
And .sql file, I think you all know, but still, after how to make it, you simply copy the query after running it on the prompt or on pgadmin, wherever you are practicing. You copy the text of the query into the notepad file, and in the notepad file, when you are saving it, just put the .sql, okay, not .txt. Make it .sql. It will automatically save, and if it gives some prompt that this will change your some prompt it gives, then just ignore that or click OK or yes. Proceed with it. Huh?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Should we copy the whole thing? If I want to see the table, should I also copy the table or only the query what I write?
No, query.
Only the query without the semicolon. That all instructions we will give you. Okay.
Okay.
The exact query, we are going to ask you only select queries, not insert, delete or anything. Only select queries, and you have to copy the exact query. When you copy it from the prompt, just ensure that you don't have that hash, the university name and everything coming onto it. Just copy the query alone, the exact query as you would run it on the prompt, and then copy it in the text file. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
We'll give you exact instructions. If you still have any doubt, please post in the discussion forum or in the next meeting.
And ma'am, for different questions, it should be on separate lines. The query should be
separate files. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. We are still not sure how we want it, but if it is going to be as files, then for every single query, you have to create a separate .sql file, and you will be given an upload link where you have to upload. We'll give the question statement on top, and corresponding to that question, you have to upload that file. And these will be the exact queries that we've already given you. They won't be any new queries. They will be the same queries that we've already given you. So if you just prepared, you can just copy paste it or upload it as is needed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we can wind up now, right?
So there is just one doubt in activity question 2.3.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
In question number 10, ma'am, in question, how is the first option correct? Table may not have any primary key.
Which question number?
Activity question 2.3, question number 10.
This one?
Yes, 10th question. Just before.
No, just before
30,
this. Yeah,
30,
yeah,
30.
This one, 30. Yeah.
So how is the first option? How is the first option correct?
Bhaskar, you want to answer that?
Yeah. So which you are asking about 30 question, right? Question number 30.
Question number 30. Yes.
Yeah. What is your doubt?
Yes, sir. How is the first option correct? A table may not have any primary key.
Yeah, is it necessary to have a primary key?
A table must have primary key, so we could identify the tuples.
Okay, so try to create a table which may not have any, where you do not configure any primary key. See, first of all, okay, you can try it as an exercise, and you can see that it's not actually giving any error. You can have a table without any primary key, and you can insert record into that and check also. But as a fact, consider this, that you may not have any primary key. And now, to support this answer, I don't think you'll be able to relate it now, but after some time in the next weeks, in the subsequent, not in third week, in fourth week, we will learn about something called the ER diagram planning that we gave an overview in week 1, right? What is ER diagram? That planning phase. We had an activity question on that in the activity session. So in that phase, we will learn about some specific kinds of table where it is not possible to have primary key in a table. Some kind of tables are there. So in those points, that will be a requirement that you cannot set a primary key. Okay. So yeah, a table, it is not mandatory to have a primary key, but obviously if you have a primary key, it must be one only. You cannot have 2, 3 primary keys. And please don't confuse it with 2, 3 primary keys means you can have one composite primary key, that is 2 or 3 attribute, 4 attribute, any number of attribute you can merge into one primary key, but it must be one primary key only. You cannot have 2 different attributes as atomic and 2 different primary keys. Understood?
Yes, sir.
And it is not mandatory to have a primary. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more doubt in this question regarding any other point? Or?
Yes, sir. In the second option also,
So I was okay. So I was actually thinking you would have doubt in second option. So okay, a foreign key can be a primary key. So what do you think of it? What is your thinking process on it? Why it should be or why it should not be?
I guess that a foreign key can be a primary key because it can identify the tuples. I mean, I'm not clear about it totally, so.
Okay.
Because there is one other question in activity 2.1, question number 7, related to this also, where it was saying that which of the following keys can uniquely identify the tuples of a relation, and in that foreign key was not the option. Foreign key was not correct option, and it says that a foreign key can be a primary key. So I'm confused between them. If it is a primary key, then it can identify the tuples.
Yeah. So that's the thing is when we are asking that question, that which of the following can identify tuples, so that is something which is always right, and this is something which we have proved can, that it may not be always. So you have to read between the lines actually. So a foreign key can be something which can have duplicate values, and a foreign key may be something which can have unique values also. It all depends on the constraint. But the problem is, whenever we are trying to make a foreign key as a primary key, is it allowed or not? So that's what the actual doubt comes. Right? That's what your doubt is, right?
Yes, I'm not getting it, sir.
Okay. Anyways. So basically, when you are making a foreign key such that all the values in that foreign column is unique. Okay, it is not something that the foreign key constraint enforces. A foreign key may have duplicate values. But if you enforce it in a way that it does not have any duplicate value, then you can make it a primary key. In fact, when we will go to the design of databases, then we will discuss one particular pattern where it is important to have this feature, where you can make a foreign key primary key. When we will reference a table at some point, which table cannot exist without referencing another table. So there is something called weak entity set, and we will have a nested weak entity set. In that kind of scenario, you will need this kind of situation. We will be explaining these things, but in more detail. But yeah,
Asker, shall I give an example? Correct me
if
I'm wrong.
Yeah, that would be great. I was actually not.
Yeah. So suppose there are two tables. Okay, one which has an order detail table. I mean, the sense that suppose you're ordering something on Amazon and it stores an order ID. And that table has all the other details like the item that is being shipped and the destination to which it has to go and everything. And then you have another table which also has the order ID, and it has only the delivered date or something as a second column. Okay. So in the first one, again, as you can see, the order ID is a primary key, right? The second table also, the order ID is a primary key because you can have the delivery date only for one particular order. You can have only one delivery date. So the order ID uniquely determines every row in the second table also. At the same time, if you see in the delivered date table, an order ID can be there only if it is present in the original order table, which has the name, the shipping destination, and everything. So with respect to the second table, the order ID is a foreign key that references the order ID of the first table, but the order ID is also primary key of the second table. So the foreign key is referencing the first table. At the same time, the order ID is the primary key of the second table. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Got the example, no? Yeah, but in the second table, an entry can be there only if the order has been generated by someone. It cannot be there, the delivery date cannot be there if the order is not at all generated. But the delivery date for an order can be there only once, and therefore in the second table, it is a primary key. But it is also something that has to reference the original order table because that is where it is first generated. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir, please continue.
I have two doubts in this lecture 2.4. May I ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in lecture 2.4, there is this rename as operation. And there is a SQL query given in the slide, select distinct t dot name from instructor as t and instructor as s, where t dot salary is greater than s dot salary and s dot department name is computer science.
This one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is your doubt?
I did not understand what this SQL query does.
Okay.
So basically, it will perform the self join between the instructor table. Okay. So we have shown instructor as T and instructor as S. So it will perform the self join between T and S. Okay. So basically, it's a Cartesian product. Okay, between T and S. Okay. So from that, we are filtering out that T dot salary is greater than S dot salary and S dot department equals to computer science.
So, Cherian, can I just explain it just maybe in without using the words join, maybe I'll just explain to you. Okay. What it does is, so internally you can just visualize it like this. Okay, it creates two instances of the instructor table. One is say T and the other is S. It's exact copy. Okay. What it does is looks at the T dot salary for the first table, which is again the same instructor table. The table S is also the same instructor table, but we are creating two separate instances of that table. Suppose now from the first table, you look at the first row and then the T dot salary of the first table. Say, suppose that is greater, strictly greater than some row in the second table, which is again the same instance of that table. Okay. Then you pick that. Okay, of course, computer science department is always there. That is some condition that you can take it for granted now. I'm only going to explain the T dot salary greater than S dot salary. And you take the second row. Suppose there is no salary which is strictly greater than that in this, there is no salary which is strictly smaller than that in the S dot salary, then that row is not picked. So what ultimately are you getting? You are picking some, all the rows from T dot salary, which is strictly greater than at least some row in S dot salary. So which is the row which you will not be picking? Can you just think about and tell me?
The person with minimum salary.
Exactly. The right side, the S dot salary, whatever is there, the minimum, right? That will never, sorry, the one with in T dot salary, which is minimum, that will not be picked. Is that correct?
Okay.
Bhaskar, am I correct?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly, ma'am. Exactly.
Yeah. That's correct. No?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it does. So why? What sir wanted to explain here is how it helps to rename the same relation using two different names to achieve this result. You see, you want to find the minimum salary of the table. Got it, no?
Okay. In the same lecture, there is this thing on duplicates where multi-set was explained. slide number 18.
Which slide? Slide number 18. Multi-sets. Okay. So what is the question?
This portion also I did not completely understand.
Could you be more specific about your question, like which statement or whichever is it problem?
I just watched the lecture 3 years back. So this portion of it, how duplicates and how duplicates are addressed with this multi-set thing, I found it a little hard to comprehend.
So suppose there are two columns A and B having attribute 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay. So now if you are doing the project operation, that is pi of A. Okay. So this is T1. So pi of T1 is a table name. Okay. So pi of A T1, it will give. Can you tell me what it will project? Hello. Yeah.
Piyush, I think you are slightly feeble. I mean, your voice is slightly feeble, I think.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you speak little louder?
Hello. Yeah. Can you please tell me what it will return? Pi of A of table T1.
I think Piyush sir,
A1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Cherian has said that it returns A1 and 2.
1 and 2. So it will avoid the duplicate here, 1, 1, 2. Okay. Is this you are asking?
I didn't understand what is this. What does multi-set mean?
Multi-set.
Okay.
What is the meaning of multi-set?
Yeah. So see, what Piyush sir was actually telling you, that's actually the concept over here also. So some of the SQL operation can be, here we are talking in terms of relational algebra, that the symbols you see, the A, B, C, the first one is selection symbol, the second one is projection, and third one is Cartesian product. So we will be going into these in details, but basically these are relational algebra symbols. So when we are actually writing an SQL query, at that point we can get some tuples which may be repeated. Okay, that is, let me give you an example. So suppose you are writing an SQL query which will have the names of all the students who are into who plays basketball and who plays football. Okay, now a student is there who plays both of the games. So his name will be twice in the query's output, right? Because the first query will be selecting, the first part of the query will be selecting the students who plays football, and the second part will be selecting who plays basketball. Don't concentrate on the query as of now. You have not, I don't think you have learned that is set operation is there in week 2. No, I don't think. Okay. Anyways, so you will learn how to write such queries. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is there may be some queries which may fetch the result set in such a way that it may have repeated rows, repeated set of results. Okay. So those are actually multi-sets.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one important point of difference is that we will still discuss these things in relational algebra, but SQL actually retains the duplicates. Relational algebra expression will not retain duplicates. So we will go into these things later, but since it was on this topic, I just mentioned this. Anyways, yeah, Piyush sir, please continue. So that's what Piyush sir also showed, that when you are writing the projection operation, the duplicate is getting eliminated. Otherwise, there can be some duplicate entries in that.
So Bhaskar, what it basically means is a sigma operator will retain all C1 copies of the same set of tuples, right? That's what.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do a pi, the project operator does not retain duplicates, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what it means here, no?
Exactly.
If it's an R1 cross R2, then it's a C1 into C2 copies. That's what. So, Jareen, I think you would have heard about the multi sets in the set theory, right? In the first Maths 1. So it's very similar to that. I mean, can you have duplicate values? See, if you see the relation in the table, as such, it may not have duplicate rows. But if you're picking only, say, 2 columns, that may have duplicates. Got it?
Okay.
When you do a pi, it removes those duplicates and shows you only the unique values. I mean the combinations which are unique.
Thank you.
So I think we can wind up now,
Okay.
Piyush, right? Yeah, it's already
Yeah,
12:25. Okay, then thank you very much, everyone. It was a very interactive session. We learned more than you people learned, I would say. And a lot of things that we are now asking ourselves, a lot of things. Thank you very much. So please join us for the next session also if you have any queries. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. See you on Thursday. Yeah.